Hello once again, everyone. Thank you for coming back and viewing today. As you can see, we have a special guest today. Yeah, that's not him. After our last testimony of Michelle P, we got a lot of phone calls, and one in particular came through, and our producer showed it to me. And it just happens to be the mother of Michelle who wants to come on and bring her testimony. So, are you there, Janice?
Hi.
Hi, how are you? So, you're Michelle's mother.
I sure am.
Oh, so you wrote into our channel, excited about giving your testimony.
Yes, I thought it would be appropriate for me to follow on after my daughter.
Well,
So I am.
Well, that's just amazing. We're happy. We're happy that you could come on and be with us.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
And so enough with the foolery. This is my wife, Janice. And yes, Michelle is the daughter. But yeah, and Janice is in Manchester, England. And I'm here in sunny West Virginia. We had been in England, and my 6 months was up, and I had to come back. And my plan was to go back over in June with another visa, but the coronavirus has messed that up quite a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have no idea when you're going to be able to come back or when we're going to see each other. And it can be quite daunting, but knowing that we have a wonderful, awesome God, just trusting in him and knowing that there's a reason for all of this. And you're where you are and I'm where I am. And that's where, that's where he wants to place us. And we have to trust in him. And so I think that's what's getting us through all of this. And especially now doing this YouTube channel as well. Love it. Keeps us connected.
It does, because we're working together to make this channel happen as well. Janice does a lot of the behind the camera works, and I run out here in front sometimes. Sometimes I slip behind. But yeah, it is because of our relationship with God that even though we miss each other greatly, we are still able to get through this trying time and not let it drag us down into depression and what if and all that woe me stuff that comes without God.
Exactly.
So we're going to jump right in, and you can start by telling us some of your life in England. Born, raised, yeah. So
okay.
I'll let you take care of that question. I'm sure everyone wants to know. Because you have a funny accent, so we're not sure.
Oh, what accent?
A funny accent.
You all have a funny accent.
I don't think so.
Anyway, I was born in London, the East End of London. Yay. Love the East. And I wasn't brought up in a typical Christian home. And when I say typical, we didn't go to church. We didn't read the Bible. We didn't have any Bible studies. But my mum used to read the Bible in secret. And we knew that when she was reading her Bible, we were not to disturb her. So, but we always had to say our prayers before our meal and say our prayers before going to bed and waking up. And I remember all three of the prayers, but the one waking up, I'll just recite that now. Now I wake and see the light. God has kept me through the night. Keep me good, oh Lord, I pray. keep and guide me through this day. Christ's sake, amen. And that always even brings tears to my eyes now, because just knowing that God is taking care of that day. Even though I believed in God, I didn't have a relationship. I didn't know that you can have a relationship with Jesus. So, as I said, I knew there was always a God. Now and again, my mum and dad would send me and my brother, who's 7 years younger than me, to Sunday school. And normally when they send us to Sunday school, it's when they want to get us out of their hair. Like, my brother's playing up. So it's like, go to Sunday school. So it was like an annoyance to them. So we went about maybe four times a year. So growing up, I only went to church Easter and Christmas. That was my tick the box off. I'm able to go to church and know that I've done two good things for that year, at least, going to church. So, from that time, let's have a look, because I've got some notes down here. Yeah, from that time on, 18 years old, I actually left home, and I met my first boyfriend at 19. I had my first child at 21, and my mum never liked my boyfriends at the time. And parents do see things that us youngsters don't see. But anyway, I fell pregnant at 21, and my mum was not happy about that. And she said, Janice, I'm going to make an appointment for you to have an abortion. And I was against it, but she went ahead and made an appointment. But I went behind her back and I cancelled it. And the week later, I had to go for like my normal checkup at the hospital. And they said to me that I was 4 months gone. I had no idea. I thought I was just got pregnant. So even though my mum made the appointment to have an abortion, I wouldn't have been able to have it anyway. Not back then. I don't know how things have changed now, but not back then. That was too far gone. So to me, that was a sign that my baby, Michelle, I'm going to be keeping her. So, but after Michelle was born, I realised how abusive and controlling her dad was, and ended up for 5 years suffering, really badly by his hands, and in domestic violence. I got to the point where I was so scared to leave because he always threatened me. But I realised that when, we could be sitting down, watching TV, laughing at something, then all of a sudden he would change, he would turn and get nasty. And I just could not work him out. I remember one time that he bruised me up really badly, and it was summertime, and I had to wear long sleeves all the time. And my friends know that I love the sun. Love the sun. And they're like, why are you wearing a jacket at the beach? And I just had to make an excuse. But what I realized that when my bruises was fading, he started to get abusive again. So even though this sounds really weird, but I think a lot of women might understand when I say this, is that when the bruises was there, he was nice to me. So when I saw it's fading, I actually started to bang my arm to get my bruises back. I didn't know as a black person that I can go purple and yellow, all these bruises on my arms. So when I did that, he would get nice again to me. And it was very sickening. Anyway, after 7 years, I plucked up the courage to leave him. With all the fear that I had, I plucked up the courage. And I remember my mum tearing out of her little Bible that she had I think it was just the book of Psalms. And she tore out Psalm 23. And she said, just take this and keep reading it. And every time I got to, surely goodness and mercy will follow you in the days of your life, and you'll live in the house of the Lord forever. I just wanted to claim it. I just knew that one day I'm going to get out of this, and one day goodness will come. And so I just held on to that. So it's just really, amazing to know that my daughter, when she shared her testimony last week, that because I got a plaque and put it into the house, because I knew that's got me through so many years, and the fact that affected her as well in a good way. I'm just so grateful. So we don't never know how God, works things out. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I remember in 1999. Oh, sorry. Let me go back a little bit. I actually got remarried. No, I actually got married to another guy, and I had my son Nathan with him. And I was not a very good wife. I was very angry and very bitter, because what I did, I had taken my last relationship, all the hurts and how I was treated, into this marriage. And I was not a nice person. I have asked him for forgiveness, and that's God, his grace. So I remember I was, single mum for quite a while. And one day I was at the bus stop, and this young lady came up to me. Well, she was waiting at the bus stop as well. We just got chatting, and then she gave me a card, and it was an invitation to go to church. And so I took that card, and I thought, well, I'm not really ready to go, to go to church. And so I just put the card down. Shortly afterwards, my son, who was 7 at the time, started asking me questions about Jesus. And I thought, oh, some of the questions I couldn't answer. And I had the King James Bible in the house, but I really couldn't understand it. So I remember the card that I got, and I went and decided to go to this church. So here I am looking for a church building, just couldn't find it, not realizing it was within the school. And I had taken my son with me, and he goes, "Mum, I've been here before." And I said, "Have you?" And he said, "Yeah, Natasha," which is because I had divorced and his dad got remarried. And he goes, "Oh, she's taken me here before." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I stayed at the service, and at the end of the service, Maureen, who met me at the bus stop, she remembers me. She'd been praying for me, so she was so excited to see me. At the end of the service, she asked me, would I like to study the Bible? And in my head, I'm like, no, I didn't come here to study no Bible. But my mouth, I just heard myself saying, yes, I would love to. And I'm like, well, where did that come from? And so we ended up studying the Bible. So it's amazing, how when God is ready for you, it's time. So we went and studied the Bible that after church, and she said to me, I told her about, I have a daughter, and she goes, well, why not invite your daughter, you and your son, come over for dinner after church next Sunday? See, that's another good way of inviting people to church. And I thought, oh, lovely, love my food, yeah. And her husband's, it's a great chef, I heard, and he is. So I went home that day, me and my son went home, and Michelle, she didn't come that day, so she was seemed very excited, and she goes, Mum, what's happened? So I said, we went to church and we really enjoyed it. The preacher, he was so funny. I was actually laughing in church. I thought you shouldn't laugh in church, but people were laughing because of what he was saying. And I told her it was in Eltham, which is part of London. And she goes, describe the building to me. So I did. And she goes, I think I've been there before. 2 years ago, these people was at the picnic and they invited me to church. And it was the same church. So she came the following Sunday, and she met some of those people that had invited her to the picnic, and they were so happy to see her. And it was just amazing, just how God just worked that out. because there's my son said, I've been here before. And there's my daughter, she had been there as well. And then they got mother. And then, but within 2 years, see, things doesn't always happen straight away. So sometimes we have to be patient. We have to pray for patience. So so I started studying the Bible 2 weeks, and one of the days within that 2 weeks, I was at London Bridge, and somebody sent me a scripture, and it was Jeremiah 29:11, and it goes, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And when I read that, I just started bursting with tears and just crying so heavily. I just knew that something had changed within me, and I just knew that I needed Jesus. I just knew it. I just thought, he's not going to harm me. He wants the best for me. He's going to give me a future. Because I just thought, this is, life. The choices that I've made in life has not been good. And I wanted to hand over my life to Christ. But I was a bit cheeky. I said to God, all right then, I'm going to hand over my life to you. I'll give you 6 months. I'll give you 6 months to see if there's any change, any changes. If not, that's it. But you know what? God knows our personality, and that's the sort of thing that I would say anyway. But I've been a Christian now for 20 years. March 24th, 2000, that's when I became a Christian and was baptized. And 3 weeks later, my daughter was saved and baptized. And I'm just so grateful for God. The grace, his mercy, is just absolutely wonderful. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, you are a nut. That's for sure.
Thanks, Mr. Paulie.
You're welcome. You're welcome, honey. Appreciate you. um, yeah, I've heard where some people go through those life struggles, and it brings them to Christ. Some come early in life. Some come up in the church, and both you and I have had to experience it to the point where we're just so broken
Right.
that we're at that hopeless place. And maybe that's just for hard-headed people. And that's, God gets a hold of us finally, and we start to listen and understand his greatness, who he actually is as our creator. I
Mm-hmm.
think that really puts it in perspective for us, because I think the world teaches us that we're the top of the food chain. And, more than probably half the things we do is not for survival, it's just to entertain ourselves. So, uh, that's not the best of qualities anyway. So, I'm just glad that there is someone uh, higher than I am, because I don't think I'm in a very good position to be doling out what's good and right and true and all of that. So, yeah, we've talked about a lot of things and went through a lot in our walk with God individually and together, and we realize that we are truly blessed, that
Mm-hmm.
we have nothing to complain
Right.
about.
Amen.
Thank you all for watching. Please go down there and hit that red subscribe button so you will be notified as soon as part 2 comes out. You don't want to miss it. All right, have a blessed day.